Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm not going to keep the headphones on. Just want to make sure they're working okay. Get out of this. You guys should be able to hear me okay. If you can, just let me know, and then I will get going with what we got to get going. Appreciate you guys joining me. Actually started on time, 6 o'clock on the button. I know you're shocked. So we'll let it populate for just a moment here. I want to welcome everybody for joining me. It's been kind of quiet out here in the world of anarchy, but I've been a busy boy. So you know how it goes. Life is busy. What's up, Joe? JMK Performance sponsor. Joe, let me know if you guys can hear me okay, because I'm using the fancy podcast mic, so I have no monitor unless I have the headphones on. So, all right, Luke, thank you very much. Thank you. 13. Look at all these people. All these people just want to be disappointed. Don't worry. Oh, Tony V, what's going on, big boy? How you doing? All right, so guys, here's the deal. I'm not going to be looking at comments. I've got a lot of stuff I want to say about the upcoming season, and it occurred to me that originally my live feed was scheduled for 7 o'clock, and obviously that is the new outlaw-ish episode of Street Outlaws, which they come and visit Chicago, and, well, let's just leave it at that. So I'm going to take off my super smartwatch because I'm sure it's going to vibrate with people texting me, as it always does when I'm trying to get something done. Phone over there. I want to thank you guys for all joining us today. I will have you out of here in time to watch Street Outlaws. I know. Nobody cares unless it is Chicago. Old School Bill, Petro, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Appreciate all of you guys for being here. More than you know. So I actually prepared what I want to say here so I don't get off track. Pro Stock John, what's going on? So again, I'm going to switch comments off here in just a second. I'll switch screens so I can read what I wrote. And hopefully you guys have like what I have to say here. Some may, some won't, but I'm used to getting myself grilled on a pretty regular fucking basis around here. So it's pretty much normal these days. All right, so let's get the show on the road. I timed this thing out, by the way. I rehearsed it just so you guys know what you're getting into. It's about 25 minutes long. So, but I got a lot to say and I want to stay on point. So we're going to start like this. First, thank you for everybody for tuning into the State of the Anarchy 2022 live. Doing this a little differently than I've done it in the past, but for fairly important reasons. It's much more efficient this way. So I've prepared some announcements to make.
And then I'm going to take some questions afterwards. So I will not be watching the comments during the announcements. I don't get distracted because I have the attention span of basically a squirrel. So we're going to get right down to the point and talk about what you want to talk about. I'm going to deviate away from my usual long-winded diatribe before getting to the point. I have decided to retire the Anarchy No Prep program effective immediately. Possibly for a while and possibly forever, but definitely for right now. And I'm going to explain, so please be patient. Now, I know this will upset some people that have come to count on the race and really enjoy it. It upsets me a little bit, but again, I'll explain. And to those folks, I can only apologize and thank you for your support over the years and explain to you my reasons below. I also know this will make a small handful of people happy. And to those of you sad-ass people, I simply say eat a fat dick. Credit to Snoop Dogg. Most of our loudest critics have never done what we've done, let alone at this level, with as broad an audience or approach as we have. To those crybaby critics, my long-standing challenge stands. Give it a shot. Host an event, and I will gladly buy a ticket, and I'll bring a notepad. And then afterwards, I will happily criticize or applaud you. If you can do it better, step up and prove it. I'll be the first to shake your hand if you do. No one has yet accepted that challenge. People that have run large-scale events already know why that is. Now, with that petty nonsense out of the way, let's talk why. This is where it gets lengthy, so stick around if you want to know what led to this decision. In short, it's me. It all falls on me. And this isn't a me, bright yellow hat, look at me, I'm super noticeable. It's not that. But I'm the one in charge of steering the ship, and I'm the one who bears the responsibility of literally everything. And I'm just not feeling it, guys. So I'll explain. I'm going to also give you a little bit of a how I got here story. This will be long and largely about me, again, told from my point of view, so grab a drink and a snack and buckle up. You don't have to, of course, and honestly, I feel that those that have supported me and supported the events I've been a part of over the years deserve an explanation. And if you don't agree, that's cool. If you don't care to hear it, then bye. Those who have known me since I first got involved with events back in 1999 know that I was in it for the fun and the ability to help provide a place for the racers to do what they do. Coordinating and then announcing was where I got started with the Real Street Drags program, again in 99, as well as working with the Streetcar Chaos
program at US 41 in a similar capacity, primarily announcing a year later. They started in 2001. I was also actively racing as well. Some of you may remember my Camaro back then. But a couple years later, in 2002, we bought our house, so the car had to go. Most of you have been through this. I got into another play car, and which you may remember was a black notch with S trim for the old school guys. You might know that. But just as quickly, it had to go to make way for the birth of my first son, Luke, who many of you know, as well as the start of my trucking company, and that was in 2005. There's only so many hours in the day, and family is priority number one. With providing for them, usually just behind at number two, occasionally number one, but I try to keep it straight. In short, there simply wasn't room for racing. Many folks know this struggle. We've all been through it in some capacity, but there are some who prioritize differently, and they end up damaging their family and or their livelihood, and that was just not something I was willing to do. I took off the entire 2006 season to focus on my family and my fledgling business. I returned in 2007 to find RSD suffering from some really bizarre circumstances. You guys might remember this, ranging from insanely bad PR, no mention of names, of course, to racers not wanting to grudge race, which I would later determine was a weird Chi-Town area problem that continues to this day. I maintained a minor role, but there wasn't much that could be done to remedy that situation. Shortly after that, COTS was born and would end up truly changing the course of drag racing, I believe, during its 10-year run, and ultimately led us to where we are today. Now, a little backstory. Most of you probably know this, but for those that don't, I'm going to assume you don't. In 2008, Heyo Steve Gillespie reached out to me to see if I was interested in partnering up with him to help him develop an idea he had discussed while hanging out with his friends of the No Lift Racing crew. A little note, credit to Fig Terry, Figgy as you know him, for being the one credited with actually suggesting it. And that's also why he will always have a lifetime pass for any event I ever throw. That's my way of tipping my hat to him. At the time, I was kind of the local event guy, having had a hand in developing both of our local street and grudge events, again, RSD and SEC, as well as helping coordinate at various events at our local track, GLD, as well as US 41. In short, I just kind of had a knack for figuring this stuff out. I was pretty good at it. And the idea was pretty simple. A structured, random draw, street type shootout on a racetrack, but without any glue or anything past the starting line. For those who are wondering about that, yes, we used to allow prep to the starting line in the beginning. That was just how we did it. It was just two cars, a flagger, which would ultimately be me for a while, no spectators, no media, no cops, and just crew. The movement that would follow would later become widely credited with creating the no prep genre that we all know today, before TV found out and it turned into basically pro mods and bumper cars, depending on which shows you watch. No disrespect to any of those guys. They're doing well, but it's just not really my thing. So I also recently learned that Limpy, who I've been talking with a lot at our MSK podcast you may see on Thursdays, had also tried this approach a few years prior to us in Texas, but he dismissed it as just, quote, insane, with several cars wrecking right off the bat. COTS also wrecked the first pair of cars back then, so his concern wasn't unwarranted, but thankfully those are the only ones of the day for us. And we had a pretty good safety record after that. Interesting tie-in that first pair at COTS that got wrecked, the racer who was hit by his opponent, his name was Oz, you might know him. He was also the No Lift Racing VP, the same No Lift Racing that this whole idea emanated or originated from back then. And yeah, vice president, because they were fancy like that. So 2011 would see a massive leap in our growth when a dispute with US 41 management at the time, now long gone, thankfully, led to a deal with the owners of GLD to move COTS there on a mere 20 hours notice before the event. That decision would catapult the event to the next level, or 2 or 3. Again, backstory. I want to be detailed on this, guys, just because it's got to be said. We had postponed our 5th event earlier in 2011 due to a severe threat of rain, which it rained, and it caused some major issues with the manager at the time, Denny, as you may remember, again, long gone. His solution was to advertise, without our permission, open spectator admission on the local message boards. For you young ones, that was 2011 BF, otherwise known as before Facebook. So stuff was all done on message boards. He did this on the day prior to the event, and the event was traditionally closed to the public with one exception. He assumed we wouldn't be able to do anything about it on such short notice, but needless to say, he was wrong. Steve, whose job did not afford him the time to deal with an issue like that during the day, and I can't elaborate on that because that's his privacy. He had put his faith in me to make the right decision or make the right call, kind of as a middleman, as I was in between my morning and afternoon runs back then. I was able to make a deal with the owners of GLD, and I relayed that info to Steve on his "this doesn't exist, never use it ever" office phone line. We released the info that evening, giving Denny no time to maneuver around it, and Cots moved 140 miles north in a matter of a 10-minute phone call. We also opened the gates for spectators as well. The rest, as they say, is history. I know for some of you that's just rudimentary information, but I just think it's important to illustrate the story as to how we got where we are. So Cots would go on to grow, set trends, and inspire racers and promoters across the country, really taking root when Shannon Morgan launched her Redemption No Prep program after attending Cots with friend and the very first Cots champ, Chris Boosted GT Hamilton, you might know him, and future Cots champ and Morgan's customer, Cody Jones, also coining the term no prep in the process. So when you think no prep, think Mama Shannon. Within a couple of years, Matt Plotkin's Bounty Hunters No Prep introduced the really big purses, like 50 grand and some ridiculousness like that. And soon there were events popping up across the country, promising larger and larger purses. To this day, some deliver and many do not. So racers, I implore you to beware and don't come up short. Credits. Yeah. Anyway, it was truly amazing to watch where it went, ultimately landing on TV in front of millions every week. Like you guys are going to watch tonight, example. Just like, holy shit, whoever saw that coming. Cots saw 20 great events. And for those of you counting, yes, I said 20, because 2015 saw 3 events, including Unfinished Business, which was not numbered. Interesting tie into the Street Outlaw show tonight, by the way, because they call that Unfinished Business. I didn't know that until I watched it earlier. But we did 20 great events before Hayo and I parted ways in mid-2018 over differences of opinion concerning his decision to cancel the Cots 20 event on short notice for personal reasons. I was always one to align with the racers and fans, and I felt it was best to pick up the pieces and press forward,
putting on the race everyone was expecting and preparing for. I didn't know what to expect and was relieved to have many people rally behind the effort. It was at that point Anarchy No Prep was born, and we've continued to enjoy many successful events since then, constantly evolving, adding new classes and thinking outside the box. Despite my abrupt change in work situations in late 2019, going from normal local trucking to over-the-road running and being away from my family for a week at a time, plus the onset of the COVID pandemic and a double rainout in 2020, we managed to make it work and work well. This is not due to anything that I did on my own, but rather the fact that I was very lucky to have a lot of people who believed in me and the Anarchy program, and yes, I will credit them in detail later. Without their help, this would never have gone as far as it has. Unfortunately, there was a financial issue with the fall 2020 event, the same one that rained out twice. That proved to be the first of several red flags to come my way. 2021 was poised to be a great year, with a great turnout at our June event. That event had very few issues, save for one major one caused by a single person who simply refused to accept the rules and outcomes, and which forced us to literally pause the entire event while it was sorted out. Now you might be wondering, what? Basically, when security must be dispatched to deal with a large-scale situation in the pits, which was a direct result of this person and their actions, we can't run the cars, hence the pause. It did create a lot more problems than a lot of people know. It delayed payouts at the end of the night because I wasn't ready because I was busy dealing with that. So one pain in the ass can really make a problem. Unfortunately, this was just the beginning of the issues that I had to deal with stemming from that event. From insurance changes on the day of the event itself to alterations to our long-standing business arrangement that were revealed to me on the day after the race and cost me several $1,000s, to the firm statement that these changes were non-negotiable moving forward, it was a mess. Some of you guys knew this, some of you didn't. I didn't publicize all of it, and I won't publicize critical details because they just don't matter. I was faced with the very real prospect of not breaking even financially at the next event, and that's just simply not an option for me, not to mention incredibly dumb. All this would culminate with me canceling our fall 2021 event, and sadly walking away from my home track of over 30 years, effectively ending a relationship I'd built with the current ownership for the past 20. It sucked really bad, but it was the right thing to do because without mutual trust, you can't be in business with someone. And it doesn't mean that it didn't hurt me deeply, because it really did a lot. To add insult to injury, I also learned that there were some folks who I believe played an active role in my departure, spreading ugly, blatant lies about me, my crew, and the Anarchy program to anyone who would listen to them. To label it as pathetic, juvenile, and underhanded doesn't even scratch the surface. Yeah, it's petty to even mention it, but it can't go without saying because I think it was a factor. After last season's developments, I forced myself to sit down and really reevaluate everything regarding the program. After a lot of thought, I was ready to regroup, move forward, and keep at it. Steve Keys, now the manager of US 41 Drag Strip, complete with new ownership and vast facility improvements since the days of the tumultuous Couch's departure a decade earlier, was very accommodating in giving me the same weekend date we'd had been on for several years between Anarchy and Cots before it, which will be the second weekend in June for those keeping score, and that date was made public in October 2021. I have to give him extra thanks for being able to move our date a week when, roughly 3 months later, GLD released the exact same date for their MKE Real Street Takeover event. I also want to take a second to thank MKE's organizer, Mike Kotis, for being a total gentleman about it, as I know what he's dealing with up there, and I know he didn't have a lot of input on the date. It made sense for him to put it there. Shit happens. We made it work, found a solution, and moved on. I figured that would be the end of it. From that point, it was a relatively simple matter of going over the rules, both internally, and I also got with Mike Kotis to just streamline some rules between the two of us to better fit the racers so you guys didn't have to make changes between the events. Just trying to be more of a team for you guys, if you will. And again, he was a super gentleman about that. Here's the problem though. Things took an unexpected, I'm getting ahead of myself. So from this point, it was a relatively simple matter of going over the rules, determining any revisions to classes, or for you skeptics, adding more classes, or to the program itself. Compiling them, publishing them, and getting ready for the usual tidal wave of comments, phone calls, emails, texts, Facebook messages, Instagram DMs, occasional TikTok messages, carrier pigeons, smoke signals, pretty much everything, and occasional even snail mails. With questions and the usual peanut gallery of negativity for whatever reason the peanut gallery decides to use this time. Because, as we all know, what better way to express yourself than to be a sarcastic and hateful dick on social media? I guess just keep scrolling isn't an option anymore. Now, here's where that process took an unexpected turn for me. I didn't just not have the time to do what needed to be done. That was not unusual, as the last 3 events I have done were planned on the road from the cab of my truck. However, for the first time in well over a decade, I didn't really care to make the time. I had zero motivation. It simply wasn't a priority this time, and that was something I just did not expect to happen. But it forced me to, again, sit down and really think about the program. It was from that thought process that retiring, either temporarily or permanently, started to make more and more sense. In short, if I can't fully commit to doing the event, then the event will inevitably suffer, and that's not fair to anybody to go at it completely half-assed. I would be better off admitting all of this, as I am right now, and stepping back from the promoting role and focusing on other things. Perhaps even someone will finally step forward with an event of their own and show me how it's done, but maybe they won't. I want to make sure that we've got, we're still on here, just making sure. I'm looking at different tabs. I want to make sure I lose the feed, guys. So, continuing on, 2 things are certain. There will be people that are disappointed by his decision, and to them I can only apologize and say thank you for their support over the years. For many years, I feel I've dedicated myself to providing a race for people to enjoy, in whatever capacity it may have been. But given that I'm no longer enjoying it myself, it just doesn't make any sense to me to continue. I could expound on that, but I don't want to get off topic and just ramble. There will be people that will ignore everything I've said here, and they'll make up their own reasons as to why this decision was made. Some will say it's all about money. That's usually the go-to, but it's not, and I'm going to explain. I go to work to make money every day. If I was really in it for the money, I wouldn't be doing any of this right now. I'd be planning an event and doing whatever I could to put people in the stands. And it would work because I've done it before and I can do it again. I'm confident of that. But that's not why I got into this stuff. It's just now. Once it became very much another business and I wasn't even able to see the fucking races at my own event, it pretty much started to not be fun anymore. And it was that realization that would be the real driving force behind all of this. And if that's something you can't understand, I don't know what to tell you. So in closing, we have a lot of thank yous, and I'm going to go over them right now. I want to say thank you to the hundreds of racers, thousands of fans, dozens of sponsors and vendors,
who I will detail, my staff and my family, who have all been a part of the wild ride that I call Anarchy No Prep. To my wife, Rebecca, for tolerating my absence for so long, be it literal or mental, for volunteering to captain the merch booth on race day and always greeting fans with a warm smile and kind words, for embracing my passion and encouraging me when things got tough. Little side note, she's the one who told me, she's like, you're not happy unless you're doing events, so you need to do the event. I was going with that until I realized I wasn't happy doing the event either, so go figure. For going so far as to incorporate Anarchy gear into her amazing professional boudoir photo shoots. And they're awesome, by the way. She is my rock, and her support made all of this possible. Thank you, baby. I love you more than I can put into words. To my boys, Luke, now 16, my mini-me who's literally grown up at these events, going from pulling COTS chips at age 9 to helping run Anarchy staging lanes at 14 to being able to run them alone as needed only a year later. Since he was 10 years old, he would organize a legit 64-car Hot Wheels COTS with his brothers after the events for years. I'd give him my unused ladders and he would do the rest. Pairing, the whole fucking, it was crazy. And it paid off. He can run lanes smoother than most adults I know. It's pretty remarkable. Dylan, my middle son, now 13, he jumped at the chance to work in the merch booth, and he was a fearless salesman at the ripe old age of 11. He would take armloads of various merchandise and put 10 hats on his head and just walk off into the pits all alone, come back with nothing but the money from selling it. It was remarkable. And thankfully, nobody ever just stole his shit. I appreciate that. My youngest boy, Andrew, who's now 10, he was a little too young to really get involved, but he's always interested to see what Daddy was up to. And who, after seeing me work, well, struggle is more like it, with Adobe Illustrator, has taken an active interest in graphic design, recently teaching himself the basics of Illustrator in about 2 hours. Kid's going places. I'm not sure where, but he's going places. To my management staff, Nick Frank, my brother, my right-hand man, and the dude behind the scenes that keeps everything organized and running. A longtime friend, Nick kind of became my assistant of sorts midway through the COTS years, running the ladder and making sure everything made sense. He learned, kind of event basics from me and incorporated a lot of his own ideas when Anarchy was born. And he became the man on event day. And admittedly, it was very difficult for me to let go of that. For those who would wonder what the hell's going on, it's tough to let go of something you've done for a long time. Just managing the lock-ins is practically a full-time job, but he makes it look easy because he's got amazing organizational skills. You should see the spreadsheets this guy comes up with. They're truly next level. Jimmy Dodaro, for always bringing to the table his very common sense, logical opinions and making sure the lanes run smoothly on race day. Jimmy's very much a behind the scenes guy. You guys know him at the lanes, and, he was always, I actually talked to him on the phone today, let him know what's going on. And he's always wanted to call me on something stupid. And he's like the proverbial voice of reason for me, which is ironic because a lot of people call me voice of reason for a long time. But, Jimmy always kind of helped to set me straight when I was doing something kind of stupid and didn't want to listen. He had a knack for it. Mark Mueller, outplaying, who brought his years of experience to the table when it came to everything motorcycle. Mark and I were running events together since the very beginning back in RSD. We're friends for a long time. We seldom agreed, and he's always a pain in my ass. But he always, I believe, had the event's best interests in mind, except for that stupid-ass green Hawaiian shirt. I don't want to talk about that. But Mark retired from the program last year. He's wanted to step back from doing major stuff, which I fully understand. But to not, give him thanks and acknowledge his contributions would simply be wrong. He was a significant part of getting Anarchy off the ground, and I will never forget that. Going back to my son, Luke Eckhart, my boy, the little kid turned young man who surprised everyone in the lanes with his calm, mature demeanor, even when things got crazy. As his dad, I couldn't be more proud of how he handles himself on the job. To my staff, Amanda, Mama Bear Newell, the staff boss. She chose to exit the program after last season to focus on other projects. And the same deal. I can't overlook her contributions to it. She coordinated security and line staff very well for years, which was a big part of why the events ran smoothly. So, Amanda, if you're out there somewhere, thank you. Matt Jewell, Chief of Security, who was introduced to me by Amanda in 2020. His security team, while new to our program at that time, fit right in, effortlessly handling the heavy lifting when the situation dictated, and they always did so professionally and efficiently. I was very much looking forward to working with them again in 2022 and beyond, and perhaps we will. I'm never going to write that possibility off. Here's a name you haven't heard in a while, Mike Serrar, for organizing the extreme bike class in the early years for several events. Every little bit helps, and Mike, you played your part, and I cannot thank you enough for it. Hopefully I don't forget anybody here, but I spent a lot of time on this. Eric Flitch and Greg Hurlbutt, old school coordinators. You guys stepped in to help me realize a dream of a new class I called Old School. I could not have chosen anybody better suited for the task. It makes me so happy to see that class flourishing and growing, and I owe that to both of you. Maybe someday I'll even be able to race in it. Wouldn't that be something? Also, speaking of class coordinators, I have to give a special nod to Jeanette from Card Chicks, who brought her ladies only class to the Anarchy program for a couple of events. And we had a really good time with it. She put a lot of heart and effort into it, and that's something I will never forget. Nicole Nevitt for handling lock-in photos, processing, cataloging, and posting them, and being the impromptu street team everywhere she went. It's a much bigger job than you think to do that kind of stuff, and I don't even know how the hell I used to do it on my own, but she took over and really took some personal stock in it, and it means a lot to me. That help, it really does. Danielle, Sophia, and Hollywood Graphics for always having the staff shirts on point, no matter how ridiculously behind schedule I was. Needless to say, we're not going to have to worry about this here, Danielle. All of the line staff over the years, I tried to compile a list, but it was just so freaking long, and I don't want to risk forgetting about anybody. So I'm just going to give you guys a group thank you. You all served a vital role in making these events happen and keeping things rolling. Thank you. Steve Keys at US 41 Drag Strip. You welcomed us with open arms, and I was really bummed to have to tell you I was retiring the event. I'm looking forward to coming down there this season in whatever capacity I can. In light of this announcement, for those wondering, I did tell Steve to seek out another event to book on our June 4th date, because that's a pretty prime day, and obviously we're not going to be doing much with it. So I compiled a list of the sponsors that have all played a part in this little party we've had here. They're kind of in chronological order because I just started with 2018 and moved forward. You guys have made all this possible, and I cannot thank you enough for your support. I went over the list several times, every list I have, in an effort to leave nobody overlooked, and I hope it worked. Midwest Tint and Vinyl, special nod to Manny for being the very first to step up. Barely had turned off the live feed, and when the whole COTS thing happened, then he said, dude, I'm in. So, Manny, I appreciate you. Automatic Transmission Design, of course, the McCormicks, thank you. Koza Auto and Performance, John Koza, of course. Chicago Unmotor Trucking, Gino, thank you. Greg Z Designs, thank you. General RV, thank you. Endless Performance. I'm just going to rattle through the list because we'll be here all day if I keep saying thank you to everybody. Endless Performance, NoPrepRacing.com, Fast Forward Race Cars, Strange Engineering, Card Chicks, Flat Out Gaskets, rest in peace, Mark Adelizi. Thank you for having faith in us. Chicago Lift Equipment, Redline Powertrain, Midwest Fox Rods, 1320 Wheels, Grabeline Photography, Hardcore Cycles, Franklin Performance, Tom and Wendy Hibshin, Win Racing, Jim Horton and Son, Motion Raceworks. Sorry, I misspelled that. Bombshell Creations, 1320 Video, Red Horse Performance, JMK Performance, and Air Force One Heating and Cooling. Last but certainly not least, thank you to Mr. Olson for letting me borrow his really nice RV last year. So now I have a few unusual and perhaps very contentious thank yous, but I feel they must be said. And you don't like them, too bad. To Randy Henning and Marcel Cooper from Great Lakes Dragaway. While our relationship certainly did not go the way I would hoped, I cannot not express my gratitude for what you guys have done for me and the programs I have done with you or been a part of over the years, from permitting RSD to try it out in 1999, to giving COTS a panic button option in 2011, to greenlighting the experiment we called Drift Chi-Town in 2016, bringing a whole new sport to the track, to sticking with me and the Anarchy program in 2018. Thank you. While business issues happen in business, it doesn't mean all these other things are null and void. We accomplished a lot of great things together, and I will not lose sight of that. And perhaps the most contentious thank you that people will not believe, to Hey, Steve. I know that I'm basically still dead to you, but that doesn't negate what we built together. Some would say that we changed the world of drag racing, and nothing can ever take that away from either of us. I don't expect you to ever agree with my decision to separate and continue on, but it's what I felt was the right thing to do for those that supported us over the years. I hope you can at least understand that. We were a great team, and I'm sorry things didn't go differently between us. I tried. So, now what? What's next for me? In the short term, I don't exactly know. I do know I'll be focusing on more on my family as much as I can, especially with Luke almost graduating high school and probably going off to college next year. I'm focused on my career, perhaps a different path, or expanding my trucking company again in an effort to have a little more time instead of being in a truck every day, all day. I'm going to focus a little more on my health. That doesn't mean I have any health issues. I'm fine, but I'm pushing 50 and I'm a fat truck driver. So I need to take better care of myself. And I've recognized that. I'm not abandoning racing completely, but I cannot commit to it the way I have for years. I hope to expand my new audio and PA rental business this year. I call it Block Party Audio, shameless plug. And I'm hoping that will bring me to some races in that capacity so that I might help others to give their fans an even better experience. So hit me up. I really enjoyed doing it. And if you were at Set on Kills, small block round, of course, Chi-Town Showdown 6, I think it was last year, you know what it's all about. And as it turns out, I'm actually pretty good at it. So that's it. I'm done for a while. I'm not saying I'm done forever. And I'm not saying that I would not do a race this year, but I can't do large scale anarchy. I mean, it's just, guys, it's a lot. It really is. So I want to say thank you again to everyone, and I hope you understand. I'm going to go into the comments now, and I'm going to take a few questions. Let's see here. Going to roll through the questions. And what else? I want to thank Freddie for coming in and proving to everyone what a truly wonderful person he is. And by that, I mean not at all. Freddie's been taking notes for years. Hopefully he took enough to support himself. I doubt it, but whatever. Keep being a laugh dog, bro. So let's see here. Dylan Epstein, you kind of nailed it. It's an our area deal. And going back to Freddie, yes, Freddie, I was reading it. It took a long time to compose this so that I didn't make anything out. I know it's lame. I'm sorry, guys, but it's better doing that than just half-assing it. I want to thank everybody for being so supportive. And by supportive, I mean no. Jim Horton, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So to touch on the proper shirts, yes, that was a mess, and I was supposed to have that thing cleared up a while back. That's another thing I'm still trying to get figured out. I did promise you guys that we were going to finish the pre-order, and I will do a run of those just for those who want them. I'm not going to order stock. I'm not going to push the stuff, but if you want, I will certainly put together some pre-orders for that. So just stay tuned on that stuff. Danny the 40. Yeah, you're undefeated, but I still remember that you weren't going to come down to US 41. It was too far. So I guess you're going to be undefeated. Thank you, Travis. Let's see here. What? I don't even know what the hell Freddie's talking about. Somebody translate Freddie's broken English, please. I don't even know what he's talking about, but I'm glad I'm living in your head rent-free, sir. So what else? Don't mind me, guys. I'm just thumbing through comments. There's not a whole lot going on here. I didn't expect a whole ton of viewership tonight. simply because everybody's probably getting popcorn and getting out the big screens to watch Chicago get skull fucked on national television again. Hopefully they don't. I'm just playing, but we'll see. Danny, thank you. I think 1080 was fun too. I have been kicking around the idea of doing one race this year and making it a voter's choice. Just basically putting all the classes up and letting you guys vote on it. And whatever class gets the most votes, we'll do one. Maybe cut the class in on the gate or something like that, put some money into it, pay way back, that sort of thing, and just do something for fun. But, and actually, I'm going to address you directly, Freddie. I know you hate me for reasons I don't understand. Probably because Drift Shy Town buried Import Wars in our first effort in 2016. You were salty. I don't know. But you got to at least admit, dude, this is not as easy as people make it out to be. Maybe when it's your full-time job, I'll give you credit for that. But it's not the rest of our full-time job. It's a lot of work. And when it's not fun anymore, there's no point in doing it. So, John Scaly, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Boost 12, by the way. I saw you earlier. You and I talked about this. You know where I'm at. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, the whole thing kind of sucks. It really does. But just being honest. Yeah, Austin Rowe, you're right. You are the first pass in anarchy. You always will be. Absolutely. And actually, Andy Christensen, I'm glad you popped in here. I've been trying to get a hold of Ryan Hendrickson. He made the last run of plates. I've been trying to find out what my bill is for the plates and if I can get that other one. And he was going to copy a plate for Chappie to get another one. I haven't heard anything out of Ryan. He's been MIA for a while. I know he's been busy, and I know he's selling a car now, apparently. So I don't know what's going on with him. But if you guys hear from Ryan, tell him to hit me up because I want to get Andy Christensen his old school plate. He definitely deserves that. And I want to get Ryan paid up too. Tony Jenkins, thank you for the props. I think I'm going to be a little selfish here. I think old school is the coolest fucking class in the program. That's just me. I love it. So Travis Sharp, thank you. I appreciate that. And who knows, maybe there's so many events going on right now. There's not many locally. So to Mike Cotis, wherever you're at, you have the con, sir. You're kind of in charge of all of this. So good luck. And with good people like Freddie behind you, how can you go wrong? Yeah, Joey, you dick. You did get $2,000 in fall for nothing. You got a buy run. We rained out. Anyway, so it's possible, with so many events going on right now that maybe, maybe a year or so, it'll be a different situation. I'll be ready to come back. I mean, depending on who you ask, they don't want me to come back. And a lot of people just don't like me anymore. I don't know why. Probably because of Freddie, but whatever. So, it is what it is. Tina Bucaro, I'm sorry. I know we were talking about 1080. I am sorry. And I'm glad you enjoyed the class. I'm really kind of leaning on, because I have a hard time just walking away without doing anything. I'm really kind of leaning on doing a voter's choice race. And given the popularity of the 1080 class, I have a feeling it's going to, I have a feeling it would win. Justin, thank you. John Baum, that's right. My heart's just not in it. And thank you for the thank you. Andy Christensen. Yeah. The race, it's funny because those words haunt me. It's on the back of my hoodie. I wear to work every day. The race must go on. And it did, but I will be honest. I'm happy with what we accomplished. And I don't feel that I personally or anyone in the program has anything to prove to anybody. We've proved we can do it on our own. We can prove we can improve the program. And honestly, I think that it's going to take a lot of people some time to be able to catch up to what we've done. And I realize that sounds extremely arrogant, but I'll put it like this. When you can have a virtually nonstop stream of action for about 9 hours without stressing out your racers and stressing out your staff, you're doing something right. So I'm very proud of what my guys accomplished. And again, hats off to Nikki and Jimmy and Luke and Mark with the bikes, of course. And we'll be at least trying to blow it out. I'm not going to necessarily give it away. I would like to at least break even on the stuff, but it's a lot of hats and some other stuff. Most of the shirts and hoodies sold. We got some leggings, I think, but I'm going to go through and catalog it all and, just put it up there. Just please be patient because it takes time for that stuff to ship. Or if I meet someone somewhere, I don't know, but there is stuff out there. I've got a lot of leftover hats and for whoever who's interested. Rick Palomal, thank you. Let's see here. And again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Pro Stock John, thank you very much. Justin Morningstar, I think I said this before, but thank you. And it's good to see you at Texas Roadhouse last weekend. That was cool. I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you and set the record straight on something else that we're not going to talk about here. So, yeah, it's in short, guys, it sucks. I'll be honest with you, it sucks. But it would suck a whole lot more if I didn't do it now, rather than wait. And this is in no way a dig at anyone, but the last time something like this happened, it was on much shorter notice, and I don't think it was right. Karen Tonk, thank you, Karen. Karen's one of my little OGs that helped out with Drift Chi-Town. She's a dear friend, and she's a hustling motherfucker. She helped work Anarchy a few times. She was a little Asian with the very big fist. Like nobody crosses her. She's an amazing young woman. And Brandon Lawrenson, I have to tell you, and also to who else is talking about this? Victor Brown and a couple other, Tony Jenkins and Andy Christensen. I don't know whether or not I'll be allowed to enter the facility, but there's a chance I may come up and try to at least, spectate old school at NKE this year, provided I'm not going to get gang raped by the entire crowd. I would hope people are better than that, but there's a few people that I don't think are. I will say this, there will be no bouncers to save anyone in case that happens. Just putting that out there. But let's just avoid all of that, okay? So I think that's about it. Karen, little tongue. God, you're such a badass. And I think that's about it. It's about 15 minutes until the premiere of the, third visit to Chicago from Oklahoma or something like that. Those of you who have Discovery Plus, you guys have already seen it. I watched it earlier just so I could. Yeah, Nicole, I'm glad you popped in here. Thank you. It's something I totally forgot about, and I'm really sorry. To the media people, I meant to make a list of everyone who's been there. It's so long. The media list and the media people that have been involved with the programs over the years. God, there's so many. And I want to just thank all of you. What is going on here? Oh, Daniel LaForty talking shit again. Talking shit about 1080 until it goes to 41, and then it's just too far. Yeah, I'm going to bust on your balls about that a little bit. Thank you, Tina. Take care as well. We'll be in touch. Again, I may, if the interest is there, I may do, just a one class deal. I don't know. I just have a hard time just walking away. I'm going to be kind of antsy. So I think that's about it. Starting to see people drop off here. So that's okay. And I didn't ban Freddie either. Everybody thought I would ban Freddie, but no, I won't. I'll let him squawk. That's cool. All right. I think we're going to call it a night. Again, thank you, everybody. This will be up on the page if you either missed it or want to see it again or whatever for bizarre reason you want. So, I won't be gone. You guys can obviously see me on the MSK podcast with Limpy and Brian Bowie. And I think that's going to be it. So one last thank you to everybody. I appreciate you. We'll be seeing you.